Hey everybody, Guy here from Chit Chat. Thanks again. Seriously, I feel like I say it all the time, but I'm just legitimately so thankful that you continue to listen and support this podcast, this little time capsule of the stories of our people from Central Minnesota. My hope is that 100 years from now, someone could say, "What was life like in Central Minnesota, in St. Cloud, in 2025?" And hopefully the internet still exists in some capacity, and people could come and they could find these stories and they could find these people, and they could learn about our nonprofit community and our politicians and our business owners and just all the people that care about trying to make this community better. So I appreciate it a lot that you continue to listen and continue to support our little time capsule here. Just got done recording a really fun podcast with my friend Jerome. Jerome started as a client a number of years ago. We got to help him with his website and logo and some video, and I just got to spend a lot of time with Jerome. We'll talk a little bit more about that in the podcast as well. But in that time of working with Jerome and helping tell his story about what he's doing in his artistic adventure and his pilgrimage, Jerome and I got to become friends as well. And so this is a really, really fun conversation for me to do. And I'm really thankful that you get to listen and that you are listening. Thanks, everybody. Jerome, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Guy, Tano, Magno.
That's right. That's right.
Yes,
That's all.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course, it's wonderful.
Yes.
Wonderful to be with you, Jerome. You and I we've known each other for a handful of years.
Yes.
Jerome, if you're listening, Jerome started as a client. Jerome is a painter, and I'm gonna have him tell you all about his art and his kind of approach in a second, but. Switchboard got to come alongside of Jerome and help build a website and a logo and some videos and stuff. And in the process of doing all of that, Jerome and I actually got to do some traveling together.
Yes.
So we went on a trip with Josh, our videographer as well. We went to Thailand for the first one, and then 6-ish months later, we were in South Korea and then Japan. And so not only did Jerome and I get to work on some fun creative projects together, we also got to travel together and eat good food. And
that's right.
So,
yes. And it was wonderful.
It really was wonderful. So that's kind of how I know Jerome. He and I've, we've spent more time together than just being clients, but and now friends.
Right.
Jerome, would you just tell us a little bit about who you are? Tell us, where do you live and what do you do? And,
Sure.
and I'd love to hear a little bit about your art.
Well, I am a neighbor. I live here or in Collegeville at St. John's, and so I've been a monk there for 63 years.
Yeah.
I'm 83.
Yeah.
I was going to the age first. But so it's, yes, I've been around this community for a long time, even though it's on the edge, out in the boonies, as you city folk.
That's right.
In St. Cloud.
That's right.
Think. Right.
Yeah, we're throwing disparaging comments. Oh, those boonies.
Yeah. Yes.
63 years is a long time to be at the monastery. How many of the monks there have been in the monastery longer than you?
Well, actually, we have, there probably are 30 that would be older.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Or peers.
Yeah.
And so when I came, there were 360 monks there. And it was absolutely huge, absolutely huge enterprise with teaching in the prep school, university, parishes. I mean, we were all over the place here in St. Cloud, East St. Cloud. And so we were very well known. And over the years, the demographics has changed quite a bit due to after the Vatican Council, there was a number of people that left.
Vatican II? Is that Vatican II?
Vatican II. What did I say?
No, you said the Vatican Council. I was just which one?
No, Vatican II. Sure. Well, the Vatican first one, I don't think I'd be around, it has to be two.
It sure does. Yeah.
And and so a number of people left. That was the kind of the opening of a door for it was a new era coming in, and so those people that had come in with a Latin background and thinking this is all going to be Latin church or whatever it was. And vast majority of them left, got married, have lived healthy, good lives. So that diminished our numbers quite a bit. And today we have probably 96 people. As I said, there are probably 20, 25 that might be my age or older.
Yeah.
And younger people then. And there are fewer people entering the monastery here. For a number of reasons. Part of it is the demographics of Catholics. Large families no longer exist, whereas previously there would be, most of the monks would come from a family of at least 5, or up to 10, 12.
And you had, right? Am I saying this? Just one brother?
I just had one brother.
Which, for when you were born, that was probably quite the anomaly.
It was an anomaly, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and after my mother had me, she decided that she couldn't do any better.
Right.
So, yeah.
Perfection reached. We're done here.
Absolutely. This was the way it works. It worked in my family. But she had difficult birth with my birth, and so I've always been difficult. And so anyway, so I came to the monastery as a junior in college, and that was back in 1962. And I was a brother then for 20 years in the monastery. And during that time, I got my education here at St. John's, and then I went away to Paris, where I got my final degree then at the University of Paris, and taught French then for 30-some years. Worked in the dormitories as a faculty resident, a mentor for people.
Yeah.
And then so many different types of work that I've done, whether it's pastor of St. Joseph, Minnesota, one of the crowning glories of my life. It was so much fun, a wonderful community. And then I retired. I'm now retired from doing that sort of thing, and I'm finally just being able to be a painter.
Yeah.
And that's where you begin with this story of asking you to help me with or asking your company, Switchboard, to work on a website, etc.
And so this was one of the things that I think was surprising to me. So I knew you were a teacher, and I knew that you had your doctorate. And so I assumed, I think, because we were working on all of this art stuff, that your education and your formal training, all that stuff would have been in art. But it wasn't. It was in French.
It was in French.
How did you decide, or when did you decide, I'm going to give my time and my energy, besides this working thing of your career and profession of being a professor and teaching art or teaching French, to doing all of this art and this creation on the side?
Well, from an early age, when I came into the monastery, I really started, if I had spare time, I would do some sculpture. So I did, there was wood, because we have a wonderful woodworking shop, and
1,000 acres of forest.
And 1,000, yes. And so there was opportunity to use some of that wood, and I did. And so that was always, art was I don't want to, and I hate to say hobby, because it was more than a hobby. It was my go-to creative outlet. And so all during the time that I was teaching, I would work on art. It was always an avocation And what I find is that people that teach art, for example, had that been my career, which I had originally thought I would like to do, that oftentimes they don't do their own creative work because they're working all day long with teaching others to do that. And so by the time they are done with the work day, they want to do something different.
Yeah.
Whereas I was teaching French, and it was just fun going and doing something artistic.
Yeah.
And so I've had a need to be creative, and that's what I've done. And so I have probably a number of storage spaces filled with art. I've done a lot of exhibitions and sales of pieces, but I tend to be prolific.
Yeah.
And so stuff just keeps coming out of my studio.
I mean, I think you had a lot of pieces, like when I met you, this was before any of the Asia stuff had started, you had a lot of work. And then what happened? Like in those trips to Asia, the amount of pieces and the things that came out was really, really, really striking.
Well, what happens is that part of it is pilgrimage. So that's before I met you, I had done a number of pilgrimage pieces that were really inspired, first of all, by a commission that I had to work on the missions of California, and there are 21 for those. And so I went from mission to mission, sketching, doing watercolors, and then I came back and did 21 oil pieces that were shown all around in California. There were, I think, 4 different museum shows. And so that gave me the idea of pilgrimage. Even though I had been working in what I would call religious or spiritual art, probably more than religious, all of a sudden this concept of pilgrimage came in, and so I did a Road to Rome series. There was another series from Paris to Compostela, and then a whole raft of pieces that came out of my visits to the Middle East, whether it was Syria, into Jordan, and Israel, Palestine, and then all of a sudden the opportunity to go to Asia, a number of sketches working at these various temples, going from the Christian Hebrew sort of background that of my search before, was coming into something totally different, which was the Buddhist temples that I found in Vietnam and Thailand, and beautiful places that really inspired me because of their, it was unique concepts of architecture that surrounds the Buddha, and their idols, that we would call them idols. And I apologize to anybody listening, but that's what Christians do. We say it's an idol. And so the roof lines, because it's a warm type of climate, even the style of architecture with using of pillars, etc., and the openness of many of the temples, that was very unique to me. And so after having done sketching and working with in my little workbooks, we're coming back and then using those to create something on a large scale, and was was a unique, creative time.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure I'm finished with it,
Mm-hmm.
but because we have done this photography shoot
Mm-hmm.
yesterday,
Yeah.
and perhaps there were 50 works that were photographed. That's just a lot of pieces
It is
going
a
into
lot.
storage
Yeah.
someplace.
Mm-hmm.
But I will be showing. This last year I had an exhibit of older pieces at St. Thomas University, and then an exhibit at the St. Mary's Basilica in Minneapolis. Being invited back to St. Thomas for another exhibit later on. And in the future, there will be an exhibit of works, mostly from Europe. They'll be from the Italian pieces, probably mostly, although there are a few that I will include from the Bohemian Prague area. Being a Bohemian myself, this is I want to include those pieces because they're quite unique.
Yeah.
And they celebrate these pieces, the cathedrals that are of Saint Wenceslaus, which is the patron of Prague, and I think it's also the patron of the Czech Republic, and other pieces from the area, and they just turned out to be wonderful, and so I probably have those at the
Cool.
exhibit in Minneapolis again.
I think one of the interesting things and one of the fun things is having spent all that time shooting photo and video of you sketching and seeing all these final pieces in, your final sketches, and then seeing how that sketch, first with just pen, and then you would, adding your like hits of color with your watercolors after, and then how those turn into these big, loud, kind of organic structures in oil. I think is one of the most fascinating pieces of that thing. And so kind of getting to see that firsthand was super, super, super fun.
Well, I tend to be shy around a photographer, shy around cameras. I don't like that. I feel very uncomfortable, as you know. But what's been fascinating is seeing, in the same vein as what you're talking about, seeing a photograph that you've taken, and I'm not quite sure which photograph it was that you chose, but there's always this click, 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 click that I hear in the background, and then all of a sudden coming back here and seeing some of these pieces blown up, and wow, you do this amazing thing with the photograph, and so it's the same creative process. Part of it is serendipity. Part of it, in my case, is seeing in a painting, seeing new movements that are taking place on the canvas in color. So all of a sudden I decide, well, I'm going to start with blue, let's say. So I put down a field of blue, and I then decide, well, that should probably go in a maybe semicircle or something like that, and then putting my finger into it and mixing some of the color, seeing what happens with one color next to another, and pretty soon, organically, this piece grows into or around the basic concept of a temple that I had sketched out. So it's using something that is already processed, like a sketch,
Yeah.
but then taking oil paint and embellishing and creating kind of like some of the recent paintings, kind of creating this river of color around it, a movement that shows what I've done maybe for 50 years of painting, and that is bringing us in things into a circle.
Yeah.
The circle, for me, represents the universe. It represents divinity. It represents the divine as the eternal. And so it continues, even though these are temples. It also has this divine element to it. That's probably more of a response than you were really looking for.
It's great.
Yeah,
it's great.
Story is the driving force for us here at Switchboard. Story is also the reason that Chit Chat exists. We tell stories of the people around us through photos, videos, branding, and websites. Story helps us find meaning, and it draws a community together, and we would love to help tell your story. You can find us at www.switchboard.mn. We would love to meet you. We'd love to talk with you and learn more about the story that you are trying to tell and how our story-driven marketing tools can help you communicate better. Can't wait to talk to you soon.
Jerome, you and I have had countless conversations about art and all different kinds of things. And one of the things that I love is that you and I don't always agree on things, and the conversations that you and I have had are absolutely incredible. You and I, we even just talked about upstairs, but when you walked in upstairs, my favorite portrait that I've ever taken, I think I've maybe even talked about it on the podcast once before, but my favorite portrait that I've ever taken is of you. And I have it blown up and printed and hung up in, upstairs.
Yeah.
And I was sharing this a little bit with you, but I think one of the things that I love about that photo is it reminds me of two things. Like one, in photography, there is this element of chance that comes to play.
Sure.
That photo is of you. We were in a boat in a beautiful little bay in Thailand. The sun was setting just right, and you were sitting in an awesome spot, and you had your leather folio on your lap and a great looking pen, and the boat was turned just right, and the wind wasn't wild, but there was enough that your hair was moving a little bit, and like it could have rained that day, right? And we wouldn't have been on that boat, and or he could have gone a different direction, and the sun would have just been in the wrong spot, and I just wouldn't have been able to get that photo.
Right.
And so there is this kind of nice reminder of you're not in complete control often with your photography, especially if you're outside, especially if you're doing any sort of like lifestyle thing.
Right.
But the other side of that is that you have to just keep putting your camera in your hand. And it's one of the things I try to tell lots of young photographers is like, if you just keep your camera in your hand and you keep out there and you keep engaging with people and you keep photographing people and you keep photographing environments and spaces, eventually you'll come across lots of these happenstance moments where the sun falls just right, there's just enough wind, not too much, not too little. The pen looks good and it's not just some dumb Bic pen, and it's a leather folio rather than like a spiral bound notebook. And the things just come together. And so I think I love that portrait because it's just a beautiful portrait, but it also it reminds me of this fun time we had. And then it just reminds me, like, you just got to keep shooting and just stay out there and stay engaged in the craft of becoming a good photographer. And so I'm thankful for that opportunity that you and I got to have together in Thailand on that boat.
Well, it was a beautiful. It's a beautiful portrait, even though it's for me. I mean, I still think it's. I love the darks in it, and the lights are quite unique. I mean, and the way that you caught me, kind of staring off into space, in a sense, also, kind of perhaps encompasses what this trip was about.
Here's the thing. I think the vast majority of the portraits that I took of her, the photos I took of you, that's what you were doing, because your job for that trip was pen in hand, folio on lap, looking and taking in. And so like in both photo camera and video camera, that was so much of our trip. It was you looking and trying to engage. What can I take from here so that I can like put something into this paper,
Right.
and make something really special.
Uh-huh.
So that
Yeah.
was a really normal part of our world.
Yeah, and that, part of the trip was also of walking to a place, for example, going to one of the famous temples in Kyoto, walking into the courtyard there, and looking around. That's kind of my job as well. You look around, but you've got to keep doing it, and, day after day. And even though I don't catch the whole environment, I catch perhaps a little bit of it, but you keep adding more and more to the sketchbook. Some of it's crap,
Yeah.
just awful. And you'd like to tear it out, but you can't do that in the sketchbook. It has to, it's part of the
Part of the process.
well, part of the humiliation of not being a great sketcher, maybe. But occasionally it does come through, and it's, like you said, it's just the right moment. Now, if I didn't do that regularly and work on those trips, day after day after day after day, there wouldn't be half of the work that I have. I mean, it just, and that's the same with working now in my studio. Is, I have to go there every day. That's part of the drill. That's my work. So I make my way over. Might be tired. I might, be hungry. Whatever. Or it's raining out, or it's whatever. So you go. You kind of look at what you've done the day before. Somewhere in my brain, I know that there's something that needs to be corrected, or, I do. When I'm not in the studio, I'm still kind of working at it.
Yeah.
And then you, pick up a brush and you just got to go.
Yeah.
If you don't do that, then you're losing that serendipity and that creative moment. I think an artist has to be crazy about working and working regularly. I don't buy the myth of, an artist all of a sudden feels something and you feel like I'm going to paint today, and then you go in and you have this great artistic moment of feeling, and that's crap. That's bullshit, excuse me. But it's, some artists in the past, you think of Utrio and people like that, they got lost in drugs, because they needed that in order to elevate their consciousness, and they made fabulous works with it. Some of the artists, were in the past had terrible lives outside of this magnificent work that they did, and involved in killings, things like that. But yet, on the canvas, because they knew how to work and they understood their talent, I guess, and so they created just sublime works, which does not at all speak to what happens to them when they leave the studio. But I'm lucky because being a monk, when I leave the studio, I have a community, but I also have those times of meditation and prayer, just this regular regimen, which I need because I guess I need a structure, and that's been my life. When I came to the monastery, I probably was, I don't even know how to describe it, but the discipline was something that I badly
Yeah.
needed, and that's helped form me
Yeah.
throughout all these years.
I think so many artists having it feels like with lots of artists, structure and rigidity and stuff does not come natural, and there's an element of that that's really good for you, and so to figure out a way to find that, to give yourself those regular rhythms,
Right.
day in and day out, is really really good.
Yeah, you do that, don't you?
Yeah, I mean I think if I was left to my own devices, I probably wouldn't, But our world is pretty regimented in a lot of ways. Like meetings show up on my calendar, and before bed every night, I get a little reminder. Like, this is what I have to do. I set a little reminder on my phone to set my alarms for the next day.
Oh yeah.
Because if I'm in a conversation, if I'm like walking to my car and I see somebody that I know, I could stand and talk to them for 2 hours and like lose complete track of time talking to them, and then miss like actual meetings and stuff. And so I look at my calendar the night before,
Yeah.
and I just go where the calendar tells me, and I set, depending on how much time I need to get in between my two things, I'll just set an alarm. And so all throughout the day, my little phone is like alarming me, giving me little
Do you
notes.
pray and meditate during your day?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that regimented?
So no. Yeah, there are some Protestants who follow more of a liturgical kind of calendar,
Sure.
like some Presbyterians
Yeah.
and
Or Methodists.
yeah. Us Baptists don't follow a lot of liturgy. I mean, maybe because of like my time in the boys choir, like attending as many masses as I did because of singing in the boys choir. There's a lot of I do love a lot about the liturgy, and and I mean, I guess. And anything that you follow is technically a kind of liturgy. But I mean, when I'm using liturgy, meaning kind of like a more rigid schedule and structure, as Baptists, we don't really do that.
Yeah.
But I would say that my times of prayer and reflection are while I'm driving. There are things that happen, on a regular basis in our world, and I try to use some of those as prompts. I mean, this is simple, but like if you see an ambulance going by, like it's an opportunity. Like someone is either in that vehicle and their life is maybe like literally on the brink, or those medical providers are on their way, to go and help someone. And so like, I try to just use those regular kind of rhythms. When I think about my wife, when I think about my kids, I try to engage there. When I see pain and sorrow, I try to pray then, but not like in a liturgy where at noon there's,
Sure.
mass.
Noon
and,
prayer.
Yeah.
And but there's also meditation that is, people have meditation times, so like 2 times a day, where you sit and you just let the universe flow through you.
Yeah, no, none of that.
No.
Yeah, none of that. But
Because from that, I get a lot of spiritual energy. I guess not some. I get a lot of spiritual energy from that, and there must be something that you get from your photography that animates that so that you continue to create, to see new things.
I think the interesting thing is there's a way to approach photography as an art, and there's a way to approach photography as, and I mean when I mean art, I mean like you have to say something. Like I'm an artist that I am desperately trying to get this thing out.
Right.
I don't feel a lot of that position, that drive that I think you have. I mean, like, you need to get that thing out. Like I need a sketch pad, I need a pen, and then I need some oil paints. I need to get that thing out. I don't feel that thing in that same kind of way like an artist does traditionally. I really like being artistic, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to help tell somebody else's story. And I think artists are trying to they're trying to get something out from themselves. And I'm looking and saying I want to help somebody else communicate. It's just a different kind of, it comes from a different kind of place.
Right.
If I didn't have somebody else's story to tell, I don't know what I would do with the camera. And again, there are lots of people who are like, I have to shoot. Like I'm trying to find that shape. I'm trying to find that line. I'm trying to find something. And so they are driven to their camera. And that's not my impetus. That's not my driving thing. When I get the most animated is when I'm in a conversation with someone and they're trying to communicate something. And maybe they might not even use that language, right? It could be a business owner or somebody who's working at some organization of some kind, and they're expressing these pain points.
Right.
The product that they sell, the idea that they're trying to get across is important and valuable. And people just aren't engaging with it in the kind of way that they want them to. Coming alongside someone and helping them figure that thing out
You love that.
I love that thing. That is my, when something maybe just it just clicks. You just put that last little stroke of paint on it. That thing, it just settles.
worked. Yeah.
That thing. I get that in conversation with people trying to help them communicate well. And then sometimes that means I pick up a camera. And ironically, I got into all of that through a camera.
Right.
But then this deeper root. I think I don't know if I've ever even thought this exact thing before. The camera helped me find this deeper thing, And now I still pick up the camera. I still do that. But what I'm looking for is this other thing. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
I love interviewing you because you have quite an interesting story here in St. Cloud, and the area, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
You used, for example, cameras. Well, okay, that's one thing, but you also were creative with furniture.
we did. We
Yeah.
did. We had a table company for 8 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a wild ride. It was really, really fun. COVID kind of killed it, so to speak. But even a lot of people, while we had Gather, it was called Gather, people would ask, how on earth did you get from photos to tables? And the truth of the matter is, I just always loved tables. My mom and dad, when they got married, my dad was my stepdad. The first thing they bought was a table. And on this one day, I got a brother and a sister and a dad all in one day. Wow. And then we became a family together at that table. And as a kid, I always told I told my siblings, I don't care about anything. I don't care about any of the possessions. I just want the table. And so there was something about that table. We became a family there that was really important to me. And so I had that anchor of loving that. But then this approach to tables, this approach to furniture was just the 3D expression of all of the 2D art and aesthetic that I love. It just found its home in these really modern, clean lines. And
Sure.
So,
and they were beautiful.
thank you. We had a riot doing it. We have there were tables all over the country, and it was fun. It was really, really fun.
Yeah.
And
you
it was
worked
also
with the same people now for how many years?
at work?
Tyler and your team.
Yeah. Well, Ryan and Tyler were, actually, August 1st was 10 years.
Okay.
And so it's actually my birthday as well. So the day that I turned 30 was the day that Switchboard opened. It wasn't it wasn't even on purpose. It was just that's the day that works, and let's start that day. And so August 1st. And so we've been, the three of us have been together for 10 years, and then different people on our team have been with us for various amounts of time.
Various amounts, yeah.
But I'm thankful every single day that I get to show up and be creative and do creative things and run these businesses with these men that are just they're brothers, really special to me.
What's fascinating to me is that you started out in Cooper with Switchboard, I think, and now you're downtown St. Cloud in this building, and it's a whole different milieu that you're in.
Yeah, completely different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have nobody painting your building. I mean, that's kind of strange, isn't it?
What do you mean?
Shouldn't
I
there
have
be- to paint the building.
get a maybe I should do that.
You should get a commission.
I should
to
probably
somebody.
do that.
how are you going to do it photographically?
Yeah, that's another thing. I've never felt this like strong desire to photograph any of our buildings or properties or anything.
See, that's with me with painting. People ask me about St. John's. Why haven't you painted anything from the buildings at St. John's?
Yeah.
Since I paint buildings a
Yeah.
lot, and it's same thing. It's just so familiar. It's not. It's I live there, and what could I do?
Yeah.
It doesn't fascinate me the way that a
Something new.
foreign object,
Yeah.
I guess, does. Yeah.
Wonderful. Jerome, thank you so much for coming on our podcast.
Thank you.
We close every podcast with an unpaid ad. Is there
Yes.
someone, something, or some idea that you think deserves a little
Right.
shout out today?
Yeah. One of the things that I think I would like to shout out about is what we call the BVC, the Benedictine Volunteer Corps, of these young men that graduate from St. John's and then go on mission for at least a year, and many of them for a year, but many of them now going on a second year or even third year into places like Kenya. And I just want to give a shout out about Eleanor. She is a woman from Australia who opened a little, it's not so little, a place at a gallery in what's the capital? So in
Of
the
Sydney?
of Kenya. Anyway,
Nairobi.
Thank you. And in Nairobi, she takes in children from the streets, and these are children who have no home. They live on the street, and they are as young as 3 and 4 years old. And these children sometimes simply disappear because they are expendable. They die, or they're killed, and they're exploited. But anyway, she has this drop-in place where they can come and do art. Now, she doesn't make any comments about any of it, but she just makes sure that when they come in, that they will get something to eat. She will show them a piece of paper, and there are a bunch of pens or little paint things. And these little children are given the chance to express themselves in art of something. And she'll kind of guide them a little bit. And what's happened is that this is a place where they feel safe. They're not on the street and vulnerable. And I just find it heart-wrenching to think of little children that their whole life is one of fear of the unknown, and of being raped, or of being killed, stabbed, whatever happens. And so that's a place of refuge. And I just want to give a shout out about this wonderful opportunity for little street children.
Wonderful. And my unpaid ad for the day, in honor of our time together, just if you have never heard the St. John's Boys Choir sing before, maybe you've actually never even heard boys sing. There's just something really, really remarkable about the sound of a boys choir. It's completely and wholly unique. And I sang in the boys choir as a kid, and it was just a really, really wonderful and fun experience. And yeah, sometime you should go and hear the
Do you
boys
still
choir.
sing?
I sing really loud at church.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
And your son, does he sing?
I mean, he has a really sweet little voice, but he doesn't enjoy it at all. Again, I can hear him singing at church, but
And your daughter, does she sing?
all the time. She's
All
in
the time.
Cantabile, and
Oh, good.
yeah, she sings a
So
lot.
she
all
got
the time.
gene.
She got the
singer
bug.
gene.
Yep.
Yep.
I mean, all the time. Lucy sings all the time. If she's awake, she is singing and on her hand, like cartwheeling and like gymnast,
Gymnast.
all the stuff, all the
How
time.
old is she now?
She's 10.
10. Oh, wonderful. And he is
12.
12.
Yep.
Wow.
Kind of a sports kid. Just
Okay.
music and art is not really his deal.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
again,
Well,
to the chagrin a little bit of his papa.
Ah.
But we've got time. We've got time.
well, God bless you.
Thank you, Jerome. Wonderful.
you.
You as well.
Thank you.